one more question I had. You know, from I would say the 70s up until now, you've seen amazing things in technology. How much of the technology do you think we have today? Because it's almost like you would think it takes thousands of years to reach the level we've had now, but just from the 70s alone to now to 2021, here we are. You have all this amazing technology. How much of this technology do you think is from alien technology?
Well, take a look at how everything kind of jumped. I mean, we go back to the 1950s, okay? After the 1940s and the atomic bomb, everything just went completely crazy. I mean, everything started changing, technology started changing, but it's exponential. So the technology of the 50s was all about cars and all about the possibility of computers, the possibility of space travel. In the 60s, it was space travel. It was music. It was sound. It was television. It was everything. Now, 70s, again, music, television, 80s, art. In the 90s, everything kind of slowed down a bit. We started to pay attention to politics. In the 2000s, we started paying attention to politics and science. Now in 2021, it's all about the science. We're heading into a technocracy. We're heading into a time where scientists and experts are the ones who are going to be telling us how to live our lives. And so it's all going to be about health. It's going to be about scarcity. It's going to be about machines. It's going to be about transhumanism, about changing humans and becoming more like machines.
Yeah, because one question. Let me get this question in because he's speaking of that. I always had this question, man, because I read the history books and I hate everything that this man did, but they give Hitler a lot of credit for spaceship technology, gravitation, you know what I mean, gravitation field technology, and they also said allegedly that he disappeared. And a legend that he got taken, you know, I mean, in some spaceship or something, or he's in the Netherlands or something, you know what I mean, somewhere in the middle. Antarctica or something, yeah, Antarctica or something in the middle of the earth, man. So is that a myth or is some of that true?
I just did a whole show on the Nazi saucers last night, as a matter of fact, about how the German technology was far more superior to ours in the war, and they could have won the war, but for some reason they got caught up in Russia, and that's what brought them down. But the truth is that all of that technology was brought over with something called Operation Paperclip, where we actually pipelined a number of German scientists and others into our scientist groups and the spies. And this is why we had the Cold War. This is why we got the atomic bomb. And this is why during the Cold War, I think we saw a lot of these UFOs. It's because they were testing these. Now, you remember that these scientists, these Cold War scientists, the ones after the war, were brought in to work at places like White Sands, New Mexico, which is right near Roswell, New Mexico, where the alien spaceship crashed. Or right. Some of the first alien spaceships or the flying saucers were seen in the Pacific Northwest, where all of these scientists, these Nazi scientists, worked at Boeing and Martin Marietta and all these companies in the Pacific Northwest that were coming up with these flying machines. There was the Avro car. Also, it was a very strange looking saucer type car that was made by the Russian and Nazi scientists that were in Canada. So, you know, all of this technology, believe it or not, if you read the legends of where these flying saucers came from, was not from Roswell, but from an incident that happened in the 1930s near the Black Forest, where they found this technology, they reverse engineered it, and that the Nazis created something called the Foo Fighters, and they created these ships that were being channeled to them by an alien race called the Vril, which is, you know, and I know I sound crazy saying this, but look at the history. Look up these words, Vril. Look up the Vrilia. Look up the Vienna, these women from Vienna that were psychics that were getting this information about alien spaceships and how they were making these alien spaceships for the Nazis.
Wow, and that's what I heard. And they say it's supposedly, what is it, the Antarctic region, that there's some kind of underground society there. Have you heard that before?
Well, yeah, if you read about Admiral Byrd and when he did Operation High Jump, and when he went out to the Antarctic, they found settlements there of what looked like aliens or others that had the ability to use flying machines to leave Europe and come to South America and come to Antarctica. And what's interesting is that Patagonia, Argentina, is a place where the Chinese have set up a communications area that is being run by the PLA, and their sole purpose is to contact extraterrestrials, which is bizarre.
Oh Oh wow! Now
the chat room. Let's get a chat room question there, man. The chat room want to ask you about Nikola Tesla.
Okay, what about him?
I mean, I don't know. They want to know. They said ask him a question.
Well, I got an interesting story that'll blow people's minds, and that is that when Nikola Tesla died, there was there was a X-Files unit of the FBI that confiscated all of his material. A lot of people believe that Tesla was the guy that he once said that he created time travel. Well, one of the guys that took all of the material from Nikola Tesla was Donald Trump's uncle.
I told you.
It was Donald Trump's uncle that took all the information from Tesla, and he was involved with magnetic imaging, magnetic resonant imaging, which of course is MRI, which is basically the ability to use magnetics to render someone invisible. It used to be that Tesla said that this technology was used to beam people out into time or doing time travel. So a lot of people have speculated that perhaps Donald Trump was a time traveler, and that there was a book written a long time ago called Baron von Trump's Adventures. And
I've seen that book.
Yeah,
I heard this story, man. But tell the people though, I'm glad you're going into this, man. Let's go.
Yeah. So there was this book that was written at the turn of the century called The Last President, and it was a book that was written about a guy named Baron von Trump, who was there to witness the voting in of the last president. And the president lived at the Astoria Hotel, and people were gathered at the Astoria Hotel wanting this guy to leave the presidency because he was a corrupt president. And what's really interesting is the Astoria Hotel, if you want to know, they moved it, or they got rid of it, and they replaced it with the Trump Tower. It's in the same address as the Trump Tower, and it's pretty amazing. This book called The Adventures of Baron von Trump and the Last President, because they talk about how the Secretary of Agriculture, his name was Pence. His name was Pence in this book, and this is the 1900s. His name was Pence, and the Baron von Trump was witnessing. Now, the president's name was not Trump, but he was the last president, and he lived in the place now would be Trump Tower. And basically, it's just bizarre. The book is bizarre about Baron von Trump and his adventures. And so if Trump is a time traveler, it's because his uncle had access to Nikola Tesla's time travel material. So
wow, man.
Well, one more thing with the Trump, man. It was like I seen a game like in the early 2000s called the Illuminati. Remember the Illuminati board game?
Yes.
And it had Trump as the president. And this is like 1999 or something, like in the late 90s. Y'all remember that game? Like it was on the internet. I ain't never seen it in person. But it was like it was like everywhere. Everybody heard of this Illuminati game, and Trump was the president of the United States.
Right.
And then look what happened. Like in that game, it's like destruction of the United States going down, but he's the president. And look what's happening right now. It's crazy, man.
No,
did they predict that in that game, or was it lined up like that? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, the Wizards of the Coast, I think, came up with the Illuminati game, and I remember I had cards and I saw things. I'm going, yeah, they had Trump as president. I don't know. I guess they figured that if he's rich enough, he'll buy his presidency. And yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things about Trump that if they really were to talk about the strangeness behind him, it would have been far more interesting than just hearing about how, he's a horrible guy. It'd be interesting to talk about the fact that he may be. And here's another thing too. So there was a movie that came out called Tomorrowland. It was a Disney movie, right? And they talked about a group called Plus Ultra. And what Plus Ultra was a group of time travelers that wanted to build a utopia on Earth. And people like Victor Hugo and H.G. Wells and others were part of this group. Well, what's interesting is in Mar-a-Lago, where President Trump lives, they have tiles all over the wall that say Plus Ultra on them.
You lying?
No, I'm not. And the thing that's interesting about Mar-a-Lago is that Mar-a-Lago was actually a hotel, a resort that was owned by, I think her name's Emily Post. I don't know, Post, who was the inheritor of the Post cereals. Mm-hmm. She owned that, and she wanted it to be President Kennedy's White House away from the White House. And when President Kennedy said that he didn't want to live there, that place was left to be demolished or destroyed. Donald Trump bought it, and he eventually became president of the United States. And it was the White House away from the White House. He turned it into the White House away from the White House. So that was the woman Post. That was her dream, was to make it a president's home. But Kennedy said no. But Trump said yes.